Rockers in Recovery Media is dedicated to carrying the message of addiction recovery through music, news, events, and festivals taking place within and not limited to the clean and sober community. Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery.
Morning, waking up blessed. Hey, I'm your host, John Hollis. This show is live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 9:30 on the East Coast time zone. The goal is to start the day with some inspiration and some hope using Thought for the Day or, health and wellness interviews or guest stories of inspiration and strength and hope. The show is part of the Rockers in Recovery Radio Network. You can check us out at rockersinrecovery.com. And you can click on, of course, any of the navigation buttons that give you a bunch of information to, from about us to, upcoming events to information that's right there on the home page for the blog. The recovery partners are there, too. There's a lot of information. Check it out at rockersinrecovery.com. Of course, when we started the show back the beginning part of March, for this particular show, we have several shows that we run on Rockers in Recovery Radio and Rockers in Recovery. And we decided to, kick the show off, after some consideration of what we're going to do next. And Waking Up Blessed was what kept coming. By the grace of God, we keep waking up blessed and we keep moving forward and carrying a message of hope. So gave a phone call to a friend of ours that had put together an organization called Sober Map to be able to help people in recovery find meetings that might be, if you're on the road or if you're somebody that is, just in an area and you want to find a meeting, you can have the app, click on it, and it'll show you meetings right in your area. It also gives you other recovery information if needed. So it's kind of a cool thing that they put out there, and John P. is our guest this morning, and I'm going to bring John on, and we're going to talk about this, and we're also going to ask him some questions this morning. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, John. Again, thanks for having me on the show, and really appreciate what you're doing in the community. It's a great thing you're doing. And it's not only waking up blessed, which is the most important, it's also, for us, it's staying connected once we wake up and turn our lives over to God or our higher power. It's making sure that starting the day off, we look at being part of recovery and keeping sober or keeping clean, depending on what kind of community you're part of, as the most important thing in your life. With that, everything else comes, right?
Yeah. And something I'm so glad that you're on with us this morning. One of the quotes for the day, I've been doing this whole thing with this study of Proverbs. It was more along the lines for me of wanting to do something more for me spiritually, you know what I mean? I read my morning meditation books, I do all of that, I say my set of prayers, I do those things in the morning, you know what I mean? But there was something that I wanted to do more, and this really struck me. I'd seen this information on King Solomon's Proverbs, and I was like, wow, that's really kind of cool. Let me check it out, and, I started doing it. So each day, the Proverbs has, 31 Proverbs. So every day you read a proverb. So today's, I kind of did both thought for the day and then the quote for the day. So we're going to start with the quote for the day, and I want you to get some feedback from you. So the quote for the day is, "Pride leads to disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom." And that's from Proverbs 11:2. Can you give us your feedback on that?
Pride leads to disgrace. That's really good. To me, and that's been a big part of, I think, early on in recovery, where I had a lot of problems, right? I wanted to be exactly the same person I was, but without the liquor and without the drugs. And I became the same person, which is a prideful ego-driven, material first, people kind of second approach. And eventually, after a 4.5 year of being dry, I won't say sober, right, but being dry, I went back out. And now I have 16 years, but it was because my whole idea of getting sober or dry, from my perspectives, was to regain everything I lost, and that was to look better. It was being prideful. So I approached recovery in a real egotistical driven approach, right? And I end up paying a very hard price, and the people around me end up paying a very, very hard price because of that. Coming back into it and being incarcerated will help you remove that pride. It puts you into a more humble position, right? Whether so by force or by strong hand of God, right? Yeah. As we say, sometimes God whispers in your ear, and other times He takes a hammer out and hits you in the head, and that's what I need. I need the hammer because I never listened to a whisper very well, right? So for me, the idea of coming back in and just listening and taking advice from sponsors, the people I'd seen in recovery who had really what I wanted to have, which was comfort, being comfortable in your own skin, being helpful to others, being considerate to others, having more empathy of how other people think. And that, to me, gave me a lot more peace. But as you call, happy, joyous, and free. So that all of a sudden started becoming more and more part of my life. It didn't happen overnight. But to me, humility is a wonderful gift, but it's something that has to be worked on an everyday basis because the old pride and ego is there just waiting to jump back in. Yeah.
Absolutely. This you were talking about empathy, and and the book tells us, our literature tells us across the spectrum, and even doctors and psychiatrists and all that we are self-centered to the extreme. So when you first came in and being self-centered to the extreme, how was it for you to start to feel empathy for somebody else?
I want to serve empathy for. I think it was immediate because I was just ready. Now to improved over time. Whether it was family with my kids and now with my grandson. But it didn't really, when I went and did the amends within the steps the first time, and I really got to see the hurt I created for others. And then when I make the amends, seeing how the people I thought would react negatively acted in most cases in a very humble way, accepting what I had done. And so that all of a sudden the wall I had of resentments and hatred and bitterness just blew away. And I saw people in a different way, and that I think opened the door even greater for empathy for others.
So through the step process, you started to change.
Through the step process.
Through that step, and through that step process, empathy grew more.
Yes. Yeah.
Now our thought for
it's not my nature, though. So I know it's something that, again, we have to work on an everyday basis because my nature is not that. But it's become more and more of the way I like to live and how I participate in life in a much more positive way, right? Yeah.
I love it. Now, the thought for today is kind of a unique thing, especially in the recovery community. And the thought for today is a gossip goes around telling secrets, but those who are trustworthy can keep a confidence. And coming into the rooms, the glaring step that you see the most is what? Is which one?
Glaring what?
For you.
Glaring, to me, it was all the steps. It was the idea that I had to face all those steps. I didn't like the idea of probably the one that hit me the most was the fifth step. because the idea of telling somebody else my deepest, darkest secrets was something I was never going to do, right? That was something, and that, so that was probably the one that popped up the most. So I remember doing the 3-step dance, and then I jumped into 4-step, and then, once I wrote it, I wanted to turn into a paperback novel. I didn't want to really tell the truth in it. I wanted to fabricate it, right? So it took me years. And again, that was pride and ego, right? That's stopping me from making that next step. But yeah, this step probably jumped out the most to me.
So the thought for today is, when I first walked into the rooms, I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm not going to tell anybody nothing. Don't tell nobody nothing was the code of the street. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then that whole thought process, because when you sit in meetings, you can really see somebody that is working a program, or even out on the streets. When you meet somebody and you really get to liking them and you get to know them, that process of never hearing them say a bad word about somebody else is a really, really cool thing. And it gains your trust with them and respect for them. So when, for the thought for today, what is your thought on that? A gossip goes around telling secrets, but those who are trustworthy can keep a confidence. And that's from Proverbs 11:13. What would you say to that?
Well, a gossip is a poison, right? Because it shows to others that you have an unhealthy mind, right? And that, once you start doing that, it's a character defect. I have it. I think a lot of people in the program that first come in, and I think part of it was defensiveness, because I'd rather people not focus on me, so I'll gossip about others, right? So I think coming into the program, a lot of us are that way, right? Because it was really a defensive mechanism to keep people away from looking at us, right? So but going through the steps, but you're not going to be cured of not gossiping overnight. It's just not going to happen because it was a tool that was used for so many years. So again, it's going back to the step work, to addressing that. But if you don't do the step work, or you do it superficially, the character defects will pop up, the gossip will come in, and people see that. And if you start talking bad about others, they say, well, geez, what did he say about me, right? And so people lose confidence in you. And when that happens, you're going to lose confidence in yourself as well, because you end up being more and more isolated. So I think, when you're a sponsor, for example, and you're listening to somebody's fifth step, that is something sacred in my book, that you never talk about to anybody else, right? And so becoming a sponsor also adds that responsibility of not gossiping, right? Yeah, how can you be a good sponsor, for example, if you gossip, right? So I think it's a very hurtful, painful character defect, and it not only poisons the person that's doing it, but it poisons the environment around them, right?
And it ties in with I don't know if you read the daily reflections or not. Kind of ties in with the whole daily reflections. When I'm running around, and you're absolutely right. It's a character defect. It is. Trust me, I don't have wings on my back. So the blame game, we have to drop that blame game, and through gossip, we're really trying to take the focus off of ourselves and put it on somebody else. And through that gossip, we can play that blame game too. So it's, what are the motives behind it? You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
So, in that being said, one of the things that we get to do as people in recovery and entrepreneurs. See, I believe that there's a way to be able to be an entrepreneur in recovery, and I believe that you have visions and you have understandings and you want to go places and you want to help people with those visions. May it be start a business and hire people that are in recovery. May it be start an organization and help people in recovery through that organization. But you have to be an entrepreneur and a business-minded person to do those things.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
there's people out there that are stunted, I believe, that say, hey, listen, I can't be an entrepreneur in recovery. I'd be making money. Well, businesses make money. That's how they make money. But what are you doing with the money? Are you hiring people in the recovery process? Are you taking that money and putting it back into the recovery community? There's a lot of different things that entrepreneurship gives us if we take advantage of that gift that God gives us. What do you say to that?
Yeah, it's well, I've been involved in helping build companies for years, mainly in the technology field. And when you're building a company, you're also helping others as well. And the more profitable the company is, in a sense, the more people you can hire, and the more people you're essentially indirectly helping. So when you're managing a business, profits are very important because that's how a company is sustained, and that's how you can scale a company. If you don't profit, well, it's going to be a real challenge. Unless you're a nonprofit organization, that's a whole different story, right? But I think in the recovery area, it's always even being an entrepreneur over the years, you always have to scratch your head a little bit. So I had to think differently about this, right? Because one, you want to help people directly in recovery, and then indirectly for the people who are affected by those people who are in recovery. So we, for example, at SoberMap and the people we've hired, they've all been in recovery. I'm trying to think if we've hired anybody that hasn't been, but we didn't look at it that way. It's just what we're attracting, right? But at the same time, we're not so much. We're more focused on how this can be successful and distributed nationally, regionally, then globally, which is very important. And then we look about, how we're going to make this sustainable through cash flow. And that's something, again, you scratch your head on what's the right thing to do. And that's where you pray and meditate a lot. But obviously you have to apply your business acumen and the entrepreneurial hat you have to put on to make sure that it's viable in the long run so it can help as many people as possible, whether directly or indirectly. Right?
Absolutely. Good stuff. And now, with the whole SoberMap process, it was kind of a cool thing to see it unfold. You started really in South America and in Germany, and then you came into Florida, and now you're going across the country. Can you update us on what's going on with the app and where we're at with the app now?
No, that's a very good question. Right now, we are completing a funding, which is the upgrading of the platform that we're using for SoberMap. And that what it's going to do is now be inclusive of all the different recovery communities, not just the AA 12-type community, so it's going to include all of that. It's also going to allow us to be more flexible on scaling it on a global basis later on. So the idea is to build a platform that is going to be here for good. All right, so we're doing both of those things right now. We're also looking at adding a streaming component to it. For example, with the SoberMap app group and the Rockers in Recovery, to be able to look at the map, then flip it, and then move right into the stream. Those updates will be done by July 1st of this year. And so we're pretty excited about the technology. I love the technology, right, and love applying it to what we're doing. That's key for us. But again, technology, you always have to keep up to date with it, as you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
With the geography of it, right now we're in New York, Texas, and Florida, and we purposely, picked three of the most populous states that we could target to get all the feedback we need, and also provide the service and communities that we're familiar with, right? That we've worked a lot with. We looked at California, but that really is something that we want to do later on this year. We would like to do is once we get the platform updated, we're going to then expand it throughout the rest of the country by the end of the year. So we're pretty excited about that. We're also big in Mexico. As a matter of fact, Mexico and Costa Rica. And the reason those two countries, one Mexico is a very large country, very large recovery community. So we're available in Mexico as well, and I go there 2 times a month at least. So I use it while I'm in Mexico. So.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So the question here is, something everybody across the board in social media and apps and all of the things that are going on, everybody now, when I see an app, I'm concerned. What are they doing with my information? What happens when somebody joins SoberMap? What does that look like for them and their safety?
Well, with them, we're not doing the big thing nowadays has been what Facebook is talking about, which is selling access to the different promotion companies who want to market, campaign, product, etc., giving them access to promote it. They don't necessarily give you all the private data of the individual, but they give access to what they refer to as metadata. Where you go, when you go, how you go, that kind of data. And also your buying habits or what you like on Facebook. But at the same time, anybody who goes on Facebook realizes, I believe to most extent, that it's a free community, and it's a great way to keep connected. You got millions of companies now. Not just millions of people. You have billions of people. But you literally have millions of small businesses that have done very, very well with it. But I do believe also privacy has also been manipulated by communities going inside of Facebook and taking advantage of a very open-based platform. And I think that's what we've seen all the issues about right now, is how does Facebook or others secure that privacy to a greater degree, or at least give people options to protect themselves to a greater degree. So I think Facebook will end up being a much more secure environment because of all of this, unless they go too far, and you never want to see government go too far in these things, because then all of a sudden what you expect they're supposed to be doing is protecting privacy, you end up doing just the opposite, right? So hopefully they find that in between, right? It's always it's a big question mark how they're going to be able to do this, right? And I was listening to Zuckerberg yesterday, and he talked about the idea there's a lot of more detail we have to review in regards to this. And I understand that, because privacy is important, but you don't want it to be controlled by one entity, government, for example, right? So when I look at it within ours, that's important to us as well. So we have a database. All the information is protected. We don't do metadata, so we're not getting information and sending it out to others. And when we look at the messaging component, we're going to add Facebook to it. That's what we're looking at doing right now. So inside the app. So that would, because I really think Facebook is going to be more of the secure environment going down the road because of what's going on. And so adding that component to that rather than trying to build something separate, ends up merging into it, right? So
correct. Yeah,
it's still a lot of questions right now. That's why he's going through what he's going through right now in Zuckerberg.
Hey, it's growing pains, man. You know what I mean? I think it's like with any business, John. You think about it. These guys have come so far so quick that the day-to-day operations couldn't keep up with with the billions that were joining. Just couldn't. I don't think they in their own business models with little ones they had. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They just didn't see it coming. And
I don't think
so
in the mobile. Yeah, the mobile is really which took it. Because technology advanced so quickly on the smartphones. It just put Facebook to a whole new level. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are, waking up blessed, and with our buddy John P. from Sober Map. And if you're out there today and you're suffering or you're hurting and you need to make a meeting, all you have to do is download the app. Sober Map app can be downloaded at the App Store and can also be downloaded at Google Play. And it's just put in Sober Map and it comes right up. It's a free app, and it helps you to navigate your recovery through the day. If you're on the road, if you're a musician out there, or you're a business person, you're traveling, it's a great app to have in your phone. So, and more will be revealed. It's going to get better and better and better. It's like anything else. The more that we apply good stuff to it and we, work it to the best of our ability, right, John? It always comes out great in the end.
Absolutely, and we always like to be interactive with the community. So if there's any input somebody'd like to see on the app, send an email to info@sobermap.com. Again, it's info@sobermap.com, or leave it on our Facebook page. But
cool.
Thanks. Thanks again, John.
Hey, listen, man, we want to have you back, of course, for periodic updates, and we thank you for the 17 years of great recovery that you've put into the recovery community and helping others and watching you grow over the years. I've known you for years. It's been really, really great, and kudos to you and your family. Much love, and thank you for being on Waking Up Blessed.
Oh, thank you very much, John. And I just wanted to shout out to my wife. We just celebrated our 28th anniversary, so it's good to be sober and blessed. So thanks again, John. Appreciate that.
You bet, John. You have a blessed day.
You too, man.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, being a part of the show. And, of course, I want to extend information at rockersinrecovery.com. You're more than welcome to go there and check out rockersinrecovery.com, and you can click on the Media Partners tab if you're looking for help. The Home tab, of course, you're going to pop up on the Home tab, and you can see all of the past shows that we're doing, and from radical recovery to, of course, treatment in recovery, music in recovery. These are all different radio platforms and shows that we do here at Rockers in Recovery. You can click on the radio and schedule tab and find out who's coming up next and who's part of the hosting process. If you'd like to host a show, you have an idea, you have a concept, give us a call. You can reach out to us on the contact page at rockersinrecovery.com, and let's talk about how we can get your message out there. And in the meantime, look forward to being back tomorrow morning. God bless everybody. We're going to go out with a great song today. We played it yesterday, and Practice Makes Perfect from our friend Doc Holliday. And you can find Doc Holliday on Facebook at Doc Holliday Music. Great guy, great message yesterday, and we look forward to having a great show tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today.
Every time that I gave and gave up, swore that I had enough, ended up broken on my knees. Every love felt like a game I couldn't win, and I found the strength to start again. I keep believing. Every time I smile when things got tough, pushed myself and wouldn't stop. I was finding out I was made of. We gotta learn to live somehow. It might hurt right now, but practice makes perfect. Yeah, and it's worth it. There's nothing you can do. You can run all day, try to hide trouble, gonna find you anyway. It's alright, don't be afraid. Practice makes perfect, perfect. Practice makes. There was no one there to take my hand, pull me out of quicksand, get me on my feet. I had to find a way to rise above the fear.
Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.